After 11 days of fighting, Israel and Hamas both claiming victory. But what has the latest round of fighting achieved, if anything? Has Israel been able to restore its deterrence, or is the Gaza terrorist organization only growing stronger? Joining me now with insights into the aftermath of Operation Guardian on the Walls is Director of the Project on Regional Middle East Developments and former Director General for the Ministry of International Affairs, Reserves General Yossi Kuperwasser, and Colonel in the Reserves Miri Eisin, former media advisor to the Prime Minister and former IDF Senior Intelligence Officer. Welcome. So let's start with the simple yet obvious question. Who has won this round of fighting?
Well, I think that both sides won. It's a win-win situation. But Hamas also lost. They won something, they lost something else. And that's because this battle was played on two different arenas. Israel fought against the terrorism of Hamas, launching rockets towards Israeli civilians all over Israel, and decided to take action in order to deter Hamas in the future by inflicting heavy damage on its infrastructure and making it clear to the Hamas that daring to do that again will cost even more. And that was done in a very impressive way. But on the other hand, Hamas was not looking for defeating Israel. What they were looking for was improving their position inside the Palestinian political arena on the expense of Abu Mazen, and they did that quite successfully because they managed to present themselves as the defenders of Jerusalem and those who are ready to take the price of fighting against Israel. And they managed to instigate some unrest inside Israel through some of the Israeli Arabs. And these are all achievements that Hamas can look at, while knowing that it paid a very heavy price by the damage done to its infrastructure in Gaza. The point is that they knew that they are not going to lose the most important thing they have, which is the control of Gaza, because Israel decided right from the beginning not to force the end of the rule of Gaza by the Hamas. And that is some sort of insurance policy that Hamas has, that Israel will not take this away from him.
All right,
that's why we ended up with this situation.
So now let's take a look at this clip of Prime Minister Netanyahu just after the ceasefire.
אם החמאס חושב שנסבול טפטוף של רקטות, הוא טועה. אנחנו נגיב בעוצמה אחרת על כל גילוי של תוקפנות נגד יישובי העוטף או כל מקום אחר במדינת ישראל. מה שהיה הוא לא מה שיהיה.
So Miri, do you agree that both sides have won? And has Israel really managed to return its deterrence, as the Prime Minister just said?
It's interesting, even in the question itself of asking who won, who lost. Can I put it out there, what most Israelis won't say? The Palestinian people, 2 million people of the Gaza Strip, they lost. They lost because Hamas rules over them. I feel sad that they lost because they both support Hamas for a variety of reasons. They lost because we are way stronger. The Prime Minister, in that sense, is making statements that I understand where they're coming from. As Yossi said so eloquently before, Hamas was degraded, absolutely hit hard, slowly starting to show what we actually did. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we won. When we think of winning, I don't think we think of the views that you're putting right now, that we don't think of the harsh rhetoric, the public diplomacy, the public arena that has been around the world over the last 11 days against Israel, with Israelis sitting and going, hey, we're not the bad guys, and yet we've been presented as such. So when you ask about winning or losing, I think the Prime Minister will definitely stand up and say he won. I do think we have to put in the context that today, because we're already a few days after, we're back on the campaign in an arena where we're supposed to be putting together a government. So some of those statements, the aftermath statements, not the actions, can be attributed also to the political situation in Israel.
Now, many in the IDF are calling for a new, maybe more hardline approach to Hamas in the future. Is this the right move? Will Israel even be able to implement it? What are your thoughts?
The rules have changed, but the question that you also asked before is, are those voices now saying that we need to be harsher against Hamas? And the implications of being harsher against Hamas mean hitting them in the spots that Israel did not hit right now, because at the end we are trying as much as possible to avoid, I'm not going to call them innocent bystanders, but I am going to say casualties of war that are not necessarily the ones that we want to hit. So I would like to offer our viewers an additional idea. Maybe it isn't just about hitting Hamas harder, because that will mean a lot more casualties on the Gazan side, and that will bring upon us, what can I say, the wrath of the world. Maybe we have to do a clearer separation between the 2 million people who live in the Gaza Strip, who do not have a future, half of them under the age of 25, and they're only growing, and between the Hamas terror army. I know easier said than done, but hearing the voices that say that if they would just let us go, if we could just do more, we would be that much more effective, I disagree. I don't think so. I think that that would bring way more casualties, and that price is one that we, the state of Israel, with our ideology, would not be able to handle.
But unfortunately, that's all the time we have. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.